All right, good afternoon, everybody. Please take a seat or at least come over and make yourself comfortable. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Rebecca Stone. I'm one of the members of Bethel's Town Meeting and Community Engagement Committee. We're really excited to be hosting today, and I'll be co-facilitating along with Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa McCrory. I'm also part of the Town Meeting Community Engagement Committee.
And I want to just take a moment and ask our other committee members to wave a hand and say hello here as well. We have Lily Rokosinski, Cindy Metcalf, Eric Webb. Are you on the Town Meeting Committee? Oh, okay. I was really excited that maybe you were joining us. Okay. We have, yes, Dana Levesque. We have Pam Brown behind me. I'm losing track of everyone. Did I miss anyone here? Karen Bixler. Karen is here. Okay, great. We'll take a moment and ask some other folks to introduce themselves too. One of the best parts about this event, I think, is just letting everybody get to know who's here and who's doing great things in Bethel. So a few thank yous. First to Cockadoodle Pizza, Jen and Jeff, for opening today, providing us with this great meal. Thank you for the space. Thank you to Orca Media for being here and recording and making this event available to those who can't be with us in person today. Big thank you to the town of Bethel and the Bethel Area Rotary for sponsoring and covering pizza, making this free for everyone. Do we have some Bethel Area Rotary folks in the room today? We have Cindy, we have Rebby. Thank you so much. Jean Condi was really helpful in getting this event to happen. We also have so many community leaders in the room today. So now's the chance. If you're a committee member or a volunteer in an organization, put those hands in the air. Let's see everybody in the room who's involved in some way. That's awesome. Almost everybody. Almost everybody. This is really impressive. Yes, give yourselves a round of applause, please, because this is what makes our small towns happen. We wanted to point out a couple of people in particular roles. Again, in the interest of helping everyone get to know who your leaders are and who your community members and neighbors are. They are not running for office this cycle, but still really important. So Dave Eddy in the back is a select board member. Great. Applause for Dave. We have Jordan Garrow in the back, another select board member here today. And we will just note that one of our candidates is also a sitting select board member, and having three of them here does constitute a quorum. If that is new to you, that means that we cannot legally dive into some big issues that are of relevance to the select board. So if somebody refuses to answer a question in depth that you would like to see, that may be why. And that's a totally valid reason that they might not do that.
And that would mean go to the select board meeting.
Then go to the select board meeting and ask your question there, and you'll get an answer.
So we're really grateful that you're here. It is amazing to have three of our select board members here today. We have Jamie Daniel, who is one of our school board members here as well. So thank you to all of them for their service and for being here. This event is pretty special. This is actually the first time I know of that there has been a candidate forum in Bethel in a very long time, at least. Maybe some other folks can correct me if it has happened years ago. For many years, all of our officer voting was done at town meeting on the floor, and no one had to declare or get on a ballot beforehand. So there wasn't really any opportunity to have a candidate forum. And while there are advantages of that system for sure, there are also some really great advantages of this system. We get to know in advance who's running. We get the chance to find out why people are running, get to know a little bit about them before we show up at the polls and vote. But this is actually the first time we've had a live event to make that happen. We're also really excited to be collaborating this year with the White River Valley Herald, which across the White River Valley has asked all candidates to share a quick statement about who they are and why they're running and what they care about. So pick up a copy of the Herald. Was it in this past week's? No, it's gonna be next week, I think, right? So pick up next week's Herald or go online. There will not be any paywall for this article, I understand, and you can read about all the candidates in Bethel and beyond. So we're grateful to the Herald for helping. The real purpose of this event is for our candidates to introduce themselves so that you get to know who they are, who you're going to be asked to vote for in a few weeks, and get to ask questions, and also so that our candidates can hear from community members. That's a big part of what we seek to do with the Town Meeting and Community Engagement Committee. The committee started a number of years ago, really to address some very specific problems with town meeting, like there not being enough parking and it taking a long time getting people in the door. And after the committee worked on those challenges, we realized there's actually still a lot more we can do to make town meeting engaging, to get people there, to help people make informed choices about town decisions, to help get people involved all year round. So that's a lot of what we do as a committee today, and do encourage anyone who's interested to come and join a meeting, to get involved, to help. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. I'm going to pass to Lisa for a quick pitch, and then we'll get rolling with our forum.
Rebecca and I are sharing the moderator, facilitator position because we love being up in front and talking to the public so much. So some of the things that we wanted people to be aware of, if you aren't already, is that voting on the school budget is going to happen here in Bethel at the middle school gym. And that's going to be on Monday, March 2nd, starting at 6 p.m. There is going to be a dinner ahead of time. And we're thinking that's going to be starting around 5:30 or a little before, but there'll be some more public information about that just to get you there a little early, have a meal with all your neighbors and friends, and then join and participate in the discussion around school budget and voting. So that's Monday the 2nd. And then town meeting is going to be on Tuesday, March 3rd. And that starts at 10, but what we've been doing for a number of years now, which is really fun, is to get people to show up a little early. So there's going to be an opportunity to make a pie or some other treat and bring it to town meeting. We're going to have exhibitors there as well. So things are going to open up at 9. If you've got things to donate for the pie table, you can get there as early as 8:30 to put things down or bring things over. If you want to know more about the pie event, which was started, I believe, by Laura Rubinis, and we're going to get some more history behind that. You can talk to me. I am the pie lady this year. and then for voting for officers, that's going to be happening also on March 3rd, and it's going to be opening up at 8 a.m. and it'll go as late as 7 p.m. also at the middle school, elementary school. So we just wanted to make sure that those things were clear. With the school board meetings, those things alternate from Bethel to Royalton, every year it goes from one place to the other. So this year it's in our town. And now I'm going to pass it back to Rebecca.
Thank you. So just a quick overview of what our format will be today. This is really informal and friendly, and it may even change depending on how the day goes. We'll see. We're going to ask our 4 candidates who are with us today to come up in a minute and sit here. We unfortunately have 2 who can't be with us in person, but do have statements to share from them as well. We'll ask each candidate to spend up to 3 minutes just introducing themselves and giving you a sense of who they are, what they're running for. And then we'll ask a couple questions of the candidates to kick things off before we open up the floor to all of you. So at that point, if you have a question for all of them or for one of them or 2 of them, we'll ask you ideally to come up here and use the microphone if you can so that everyone can hear you. If you're not able to come up, unfortunately, we don't have a wireless mic, but we can come to you and get your question, or we can have you shout it out and we'll repeat it up here so that everybody can hear. And if by any chance the conversation dies and you don't all have tons of burning questions, we have a few more in our back pocket that we're glad to ask or open it up for discussion. But really encourage all of you to think about questions that you would like to ask our candidates as we go. Without further ado, I'll ask our candidates to come up and join us here. All of you, please do keep going and getting more food. If you need to use the bathroom, find a comfy seat. If you're not able to see from where you are, feel free to come up and sit in these chairs up front. We have some more booth seats as well.
All right, Lisa.
Okay. So the format that we have here is we are going to be asking a few questions of we're going to give the candidates an opportunity to introduce themselves. Did you already say that? Okay. I was being asked a question at the same time. So why don't we go down the line from left to right and give you guys each a few minutes to introduce yourself and let us know what position you're running for, or positions for some. And then we'll read what the absentee candidates had to say so that you get to know them as well.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm Dana Kolovec. I know many of you. My wife and I moved up here in 1976, and when I was starting law school, she ended up with a job that was much better than one we left in Milford, New Hampshire. And too close? No, closer. Okay. And we never left because her job was a great job, and I ended up spending the next 50 years figuring out what I was going to do when I grew up. And at some point along the way, I think I did. I was probably 48 after changing careers multiple times. I started out teaching when I met my wife, and then went to the law school, had several careers in law. I practiced for the state of Vermont, land use administrator. I practiced here in town for 6 years. I went back to work in government for a couple of years as Commissioner of Labor and Industry under Snelling and then Dean. And when Governor Dean found out that I was a Republican, it took him a while to figure out all the people who was in the cabinet. He said, "Thank you very much for your service." And I said, "Well, thank you for the opportunity to finish." And then I had another 4 years, went through my midlife crisis. At age 48, I got back into education as an administrator, and I spent the remaining 16 years starting in Virgins, moving to Fairhaven, then to Otter Valley, and finally I was superintendent in Rutland South Supervisory Union. I retired in 2014, and I have spent the last 14 years, 10 years, 12 years, figuring out the rest of my life. And over the last several years, thanks to the efforts of people like Cindy Metcalf and others, I've gotten involved in the community, which is one of the wonderful things about being retired is you have time to do stuff that you enjoy. And I enjoy working with people. I enjoy giving back to the community. I enjoy meeting people who are extreme introverts, and those of us who are considered extreme extroverts have finally found a job that is perfect for me. I get to get in front of a couple hundred people. I get to tell them what the rules are. They have to listen to me and be polite about it. And it's probably the best job I've had in 50 years or almost 60 years of working. So I am running for moderator. I was appointed moderator in November of 24 by the Selectboard, and got my name on the ballot last year, which is what we now have to do. But I would prefer that this position be voted from the floor. But in any event, I had to get my name on the ballot. I got elected last year, so I'm serving as moderator at the upcoming meeting, and I'm running again for next year, and we'll see if someone decides to step up and challenge that. I hope they do. It's a pleasure to be involved in the community. I'm doing work now with the volunteer income tax assistance program down at the law school. It's nice to go back to the law school and see how much brighter those kids are than the ones like me who made it through in '79. But it's great, and I appreciate it and would appreciate your support. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's give them an applause. Come on.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Ben Roberts. Everyone hear me all right? I moved into Bethel with my wife and 2 kids back in 2014, so we've been here a little over 10 years. But we did, and I hate to admit this, we grew up in Massachusetts, and but it wasn't all bad. But there's a reason we're here, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. My parents are from Rutland, and they grew up in Rutland, and they actually were looking for work. And so my father ended up moving down to Boston area and he raised his family there. But I always remembered coming up here for Christmas and Thanksgiving and all the holidays, visiting my grandparents who still lived in Rutland at the time, both sets of grandparents, that is. And I always said I wanted to move back here. And so I talked a lot about that with my wife before we got married, that I'd love to move back here. And we talked about it a lot. And we finally had an opportunity to in 2013. And we house sat for some friends in Charlotte, not Charlotte, up northern Vermont. And and then we looked around and we found a place here in Bethel, and we've never looked back. I don't think we'll ever leave. And there's something special about Vermont, and there's something special about Bethel. I've done so many things in terms of work, and I started out cleaning apartments as a kid. I worked in retail. I did vinyl siding. I've been a server at a restaurant. I've been a bartender. I've been a cook. That's how I met Dana. But I've always been good with computers, and that's really where I've spent most of my career is working on computers, building websites, and working on marketing departments and for software companies, manufacturing companies. And most recently, I'm now working at Tufts University out of Boston. Great school, by the way, I really have no complaints. I think they're a great organization. So I see myself staying there for quite a while. But I'm here for a reason, and that's because there were vacancies on the board, and I've always had sort of heart for service and finding ways to put my time back into things that I care about. So I ran there was an opportunity to be appointed to a vacancy. I ran, I think Lisa was there the first time, and there was another gentleman there, Brian Wright, and I didn't make it. So you're probably wondering why am I here now? And that's because there was another vacancy. So I tried again. And so I did make it through the second time. So I have been appointed to the board. I've been serving since April, I think. It's been eye-opening. Municipal government is very niche, right? We're not here to solve maybe the biggest problems in the world, but we're trying to. I don't know if solving problems is what we're always doing, but we're doing things that are really impactful to people in the town. They're very tangible. The things we do make a difference in the lives of the people who live here. So I'm very happy to be a part of that. I'm interested to serve the rest of the terms, the 2-year seats. I finished out the first year, and now I need to get your vote to stay on. I think I'm running unopposed for the time being, but I still appreciate your support. There could be a write-in candidate who's better than me, and I have no problem with that, because to me, this is service. I actually didn't realize there's a stipend for people on the board. So that was interesting to me, but really it's about giving back. It's a very small stipend, let me assure you. But yes, to me, this is about service and representing the town as a whole, and to me, it's about fiscal responsibility. That's one of the special things about Bethel is we're very good with our budget. There's not a penny that doesn't go unaccounted for, and those pennies really go to make a difference towards infrastructure in the town, or even social services. So we want to make sure that money's spent well, and that we're not taking money from through taxes for things that they shouldn't be spent on. So that's really my biggest goal. I'm not here to get involved in what goes on behind your own doors, or in your churches or anything like that. All I care about is making sure that the town is well managed and in the best interest of everyone.
Okay, my name is Pam Brown, and I will wholeheartedly say I am a Bethelite from birth to now. I have never left this town. Not even, well, vacations maybe, give or take. But I have been born and raised here. I love this town. I have raised my family here. My parents still live here. My in-laws are here. My sister only lives 3 miles away. I can't really see myself going anywhere else. I really can't. I got a Bachelor's of Science degree from Castleton, way back when it wasn't a state university. And I got a master's in education. I taught business education in Chelsea for about 10, 12 years. And then I taught in Lebanon High School. I have worked in Bethel, basically. Yeah, pretty much, other than Chelsea and Lebanon. I worked when the supervisory union was Windsor Northwest Supervisory Union. So that tells you back a few years ago. I have worked at Central Market I did for like 30 plus years. I worked at Haggett's Hardware before it went to Lewis's, before it went to Mills, before it went through. And I worked at Ellis Music for 6 years, I guess. So, I mean, I am a local person through and through. I am running for town clerk and town treasurer. I have been both positions since January of 2018, when my predecessor, Jean Burnham, said, I'm done. And she did it for 48 years. Somebody looked at me and said, are you gonna do it for 48 years? I said, if I'm 96 still doing this, I got a problem. So, I love my job. It is stressful. It is not the easiest job. Some people think I just record documents, land records, stuff of that sort. It is not just that. I have to deal with dog licenses. For those people that have dogs, please remember to license them. I'm gonna put that out there now, okay? Marriage certificates. I issue birth certificates, death certificates online through the state. I get election stuff ready. Town meeting is my nightmare from now until, then. I don't sleep much. My brain keeps doing this. I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, this, and this. So that weekend before, yeah, no. And elections. I maintain everybody, registered voters for the town, and hope that people, when they move, let me know. If you move out of town, just a plug, please register in the town that you move in. Otherwise, you stay on my rolls, and I don't know this until, this person down through. They're coming up for this. I'm like, okay, that's good to know. Or we mail them something, they're like, oh, no, they no longer live here. Okay, good deal. It's town meeting and elections are one of those things where I get to see the people. I don't, people move in, people move out. I can see a name on a paper. It doesn't mean anything to me until I actually see the face. So during election time, check in, check out process, I'm always there down through. Town meeting day, you'll see me running from town meeting check-in to voting check-in, voting check-out. I go back and forth for like an hour or more. But I like meeting the people in town. I like giving them, the options, the information that the town has or that neighboring towns have that they can help support them. I'm also a local Girl Scout troop co-leader down through. So our time is right now cookie season. Yeah. So it's, and I've been doing that. My daughter was in 2nd grade and she is now almost 22 and I'm still doing this. So it's just one of those things. You like watching the little girls in the community just gain that oomph, that little confidence that you see, oh, I can do this. Perfect. Someday maybe they'll be here. And yes, somebody said, if anybody feels that they would like this, it can happen. But I look for your support again for another year. I am a year by year. A lot of clerks have changed to 3-year terms, and I'm not going to. I'm going to do it year by year. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Pejui, and I am currently the chair of I always have to get the name correct, the White River Unified District School Board. And I am running for a 2nd term, and Like Ben, I'm a refugee from Massachusetts. Came up here in 1973 to be a ski bum for a year. And yeah, somehow we never went back to Massachusetts. One little side note, because it's been so cold out lately, that first winter we were here, we had left a friend's house that lived on the access road at Killington, and we were coming down the access road, and this was before all of the restaurants and lodges are there, and all of a sudden our car died. Our very old Chevy just quit, and we discovered that the battery had broken in half. It was 40 below zero. And being the Flatlanders that we were not prepared for being in 40 below zero. We probably didn't even have a warm coat or mittens or a hat. And we survived because some friends were behind us and they very kindly rescued us. But anyway, once we were here and survived that first winter, friends told us, you need to stick around for a Vermont summer. You deserve it. And that was it. So been here ever since. I taught in Woodstock for 30 years and retired and moved to Bethel. Actually moved to Bethel the year before I retired because our daughter and son-in-law and our only grandchild at the time had bought a house here in Bethel. And we just fell in love with Bethel and decided this is where we want to be. And so after retiring from Woodstock, my good friend Tim Brennan and his wife Beth told the principal at the middle school at the time that, oh, there's a retired math teacher that has just moved into town. And so I received a phone call the week before school started begging me if I would come and work at the school. I've retired 4 more times from Bethel. And so coming onto the school board was actually one of my survival mode strategies, that if I'm on the school board, I can't work anymore in the district. And I talked my daughter into taking my job instead, because that's why I had to retire 4 times, because every time I retired in the fall, they would come to me again and say, we haven't found anybody to take your job. Anyway, so enough of that. I love being on school board. It's been really eye-opening because my entire teaching career, altogether about 40 years, has been on the other side. And to be on this side has been really eye-opening, and I feel like it's been a real benefit that I have taught for so long because I understand how schools work. I was in them all the time. And so I would appreciate your vote. I am also running unopposed. So unless there's a write-in candidate out there, I still would like your support. Thank you.
And from what we gather, there's also a seat in Royalton for the school board, which as Bethel residents, we also vote for that position. But at this point, nobody's running for that spot.
I received an email a couple days ago that, to be honest, I have not really opened yet, but I believe it was somebody saying that there is somebody in Royalton that is interested in being a write-in candidate. So I don't know the name of the person yet, but there is somebody at least that's considering a write-in candidacy.
So we'll do what we can to let people know when that write-in candidate becomes public, and we can let people know more about them, because as Bethel residents, we are voting for that other board seat as well, which is, different from everything else. I'm going to read, we have 2 other candidates that were unable to make it today, so I'm going to read on their behalf. The first one is Jed Scott, running for a select board seat, and it doesn't say how many, a 2-year term? Okay, so this is what Jed wrote. He says, I have owned and operated a successful business here in town for the past 25 years. During that time, I have spoken with a lot of residents, listened to concerns, and heard plenty of both criticism and positive feedback about how things work in our community. That experience has reinforced the importance of thoughtful, well-reasoned decision-making. Running a business requires balancing different perspectives, managing resources responsibly, and making decisions that hold up over time. Skills I believe translate well to serving on the select board. And what people might want to know about him is I have lived in or near Bethel my entire life, and it has always been a good town in a great state. Since November, I have been serving on the select board, filling a vacant seat. In the past few months, I've learned a great deal about how the town functions, and while there's still more to learn, I believe the board works well together. Our town currently has a lot going for it, including an excellent town manager and dedicated staff, from the town office to the road crew. I'd like to continue serving as part of the select board and contribute to building on that momentum. My goal is to help ensure Bethel continues moving forward in a thoughtful, collaborative way. All right, applause. Yeah. And Denise Gilmet, who's also running for a select board seat for a 3-year term. Unfortunately, she's in Costa Rica right now, where it's 94 degrees, and she sent me some tropical photographs, which I'm not going to share with you guys. But this is what she has to say, since she can't be here in person, is, sorry I can't be at the forum today. We're sorry for her. She's coming back tomorrow once the cold snap is done. So I'm running for my second 3-year term for the Bethel Select Board. I was on the Planning Commission for 2 years before I was elected to the Select Board. Over the past 3 years, I've learned a lot about how the town operates. There are so many facets of how the town functions that I didn't realize. I feel that I have a very good relationship with the town employees. Big kudos to the road crew and Richard Manning for their dedication to keeping our roads in good shape this winter. I check the payroll every other week and payables on the other week. I have been the town health officer for the past year. I have volunteered at the Bethel Area Food Shelf for the past 3 years in many capacities. I'm grateful to be a part of such a wonderful community. So, yay. Okay, so those are our candidates before us today, and I don't think anybody is running opposed unless there's a write-in, as we've been hearing. And we've created some questions for the candidates. And what we're going to do is just, Rebecca and I were talking, about just starting it off with 1 or 2 questions and then opening it up to the floor. So the first question that I'd like to ask, and each candidate's going to answer, and we'll try to keep it as succinct as possible because I know that time is going by quickly. But what is actually involved in your position, and what do you offer? And Dana, we'll go to you first.
The beauty of my position is it's 1 day a year. Although it takes some days of preparation, I serve on the Town Meeting and Engagement Committee, Community Engagement Committee. And that has been a year-long monthly meeting that we talk about the improvements that we can make to the town meeting process. But actually, the job actually involves the 1 day of getting before the town and calling the meeting to order and making sure we run by the Roberts rules. I'm learning more about the Roberts rules as I go forward. I attended a training last week, moderator update. And I think I may be asked to do the moderation of the the Union District meeting the night before town meeting. But I did that last year. And again, if somebody would love to step forward, I'm happy to do it, but happy to let them do it. But I don't know if you need more.
That's perfect. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so select board. So how many people here go to town meeting every year? Okay, and how many people actually go to the select board meetings? All right, well, give or take. Yep. All right. So obviously the town meeting is really the culmination of all those select board meetings and the activity at the town offices. And those select board meetings are really taking appointments from folks from various commissions or other other third parties like Tri-Valley Transit or something like that coming in to either talk about appropriations or just decisions that need to be made on various commissions or things like that. So we deliberate those on the select board. We also sign off on policies written by the town offices. We sign off on appropriations as needed for different expenses and things like that. So a lot of paper pushing really is what it's about. It's using discernment and discretion and how we vote on those things. But I think Jed said it in his note. We do a good job working together. The five of us, we are not all in lockstep for sure. We have our lively debates. Anyone who's been to a select board meeting the last year will have seen that, and people come and go on the select board, and those things always change. But folks are generally really well-natured, and we agree to disagree sometimes. But at the end of the day, we vote our conscience, I believe. And I think that I haven't seen anything that any one of us might regret, and I probably shouldn't take a poll here in the room yet. But that's the big part about the select board meetings. But there are times that we're asked to do things for Board of Civil Authority where we have to supervise voting at the town meeting or for the supervisory union. We count the votes and we make sure that there's no funny business going on there. We do things like we're the cemetery commissioners and the road commissioners, things like that. So we actually do have to make decisions on those things as well. I'm probably forgetting some things. It's just a whole lot that comes with the job. Like Denise mentioned in her letter, she's the town health officer right now because de facto it becomes the select board chair if there is no appointed health officer. So we get to accumulate any job that isn't taken in the town essentially. I think everyone has a really good-natured spirit about taking on that work and doing it for the best interest of the town. So hopefully I shared some things that maybe people didn't know, and I do appreciate everybody making it to town meeting or even the select board meetings. Select board meetings can be long, but I do encourage people to come. I mean, there are decisions, there's policies being signed off of. So that is your opportunity to weigh in on the day-to-day for the town.
Another huge part.
That's so true.
Can you repeat?
Yes, and they said that they're doing a lot of budget work down through the select board does a lot of budget work.
That was just recently approved.
Yep, just recently approved. So I think I went over what a town clerk does, recording land records, moving in, moving out, dog licenses, marriage, birth, death, stuff of that sort, elections. As a treasurer, I am responsible for signing the checks. I print the checks, the payable checks, and balancing the general fund, which is really interesting, a lot of fun. Oh, God. I'm not used to dealing with a couple $1 million down through because it's not in my wallet. But I do that on a monthly basis. I make sure it's all deposits and checks, all checks and balances. And if I'm 3 pennies off, you better believe I'm going to find it. And I will sit there until I do. I'm also, help with the town office, town manager's office with things. So I do filing, answering the phones, their side, taking payments, which is not usually my piece of it, but I do that. Everybody in the office really kind of works together as a team. So any questions other than that? There you go.
As a school board member, it's basically an oversight position. The superintendent and the central office are doing the daily work of coming up with budgets and going into the schools and dealing with the main issues that are happening there. And so the school board has oversight of those things. Right now we have an amazing team in our supervisory union, which makes the job of school board much easier. Jamie Canarney is probably the best superintendent in the state of Vermont, and I'm not making it up. Everybody else thinks that too in the state. I don't know if any of you have been following all of the Act 73 stuff that's been going on, and the governor's desire to have us have a school district that would run all the way from Craftsbury down to Springfield. Great school district, right? Jamie has been invited over and over again to both the Senate and the House to testify. He is the only superintendent that seems to be called on to do that on a regular basis because everybody in the state really respects him. And so again, that's part of what the school board is doing is just keeping track of those things. I've been trying to get into the schools more. Typically, school board members, I don't think, go into schools, but because I have spent my whole career being a teacher, it's pretty hard for me to keep out of schools. So I get to be a moderator at the fourth grade spelling bees this week at both campuses. That's the fun stuff. And going to the plays and all of the music events. I kind of lax about going to the sports things. I don't know. But anyway, this past year, I've been the chair of the board, so it has been more involved, but I have really enjoyed going deeper into some of the issues and being a part of some decision making. We also have various committees that board members serve on. People on the budget committee have probably the hardest job. I have avoided being on the budget committee. We also have negotiations and facilities. So a lot going on for individual members. If you've got a particular skill, talent that you would love to share, I'm sure there would be a committee that the board has that would be interesting to you. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
I have a question for Pam. Isn't there a position for trustee of public funds that's...
There is a position, yes. Yep. So there is a position for trustee of public funds. It is a 3-year position. Currently, there is no one on the ballot. No one is running. So it would be a write-in campaign if anybody is interested in it. You would be working with Scott Putney and Rick Benson. Yeah, it covers like the cemeteries and some other funding type things like that or whatever. But yes, it's not, they don't meet maybe 3-4 times a year. But not through that. Not through that. No.
Okay, thank you for these amazing introductions. I'm sitting here and just appreciating so much the chance to hear from all of you personally and to hear these details about the positions. This is really the first time I've had this experience with our local officials. And for the remainder of the time, we really want to open it up to all of you. See what questions you would like to ask of one or more of our candidates up here. So I will ask if you are able and comfortable to come up here so that you can ask your question with the microphone. That would be great. If you do have a question, please introduce yourself to everybody as well so that we can continue getting to know each other. So Ellie, I think you're first. Come on up. Others, feel free to just come up and stand here if you have one, and we'll get to you next.
Hi, I'm Ellie Griffin from the Bethel Recreation Committee. I'm Ellie Griffin from the Bethel Recreation Committee, and I'm so glad that you all are here. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate, Ben, for you being here because at the last select board meeting, you mentioned you might not be able to come today. So I'm very appreciative to you. My questions for you are, how old were your kids when you moved here? How old were your children when you moved here?
Well, so it was 12 years ago. My daughter would have been 13. 9. She was 9. Okay. Phoning a friend in the back. 9 and 8. They're about a year apart.
So, and since you moved here in 2014, how many services in Bethel has you and your family used, like the library, for example, or any of the other services?
I'm picking up on the path of questioning here. But we have taken advantage of the library. Yep. And we've taken advantage of the pool. And they did spend a year in the school as well. We ended up homeschooling. But we love the rec fields. Yep. Thank you. And most recently, we loved the trail out back. We took a spin on that. So.
Yes. So my overall question is just learning about what services you use. But when I go to a lot of select board meetings, and recently with you doing the budget, I understand the financial responsibility. But I'm getting the impression from these select board meetings and the budget meetings that budgeting for services is, I'm getting the wrong impression of whether you really want to use the services, want to support the services, because you're voting to cut services by 10%, and I feel very strong about the services that we have here in Bethel.
Thanks, Ellen.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to address that. Yeah, I do believe that, honestly, I don't think we should have income tax at all. I don't think we should, and property tax is almost a necessary evil in my opinion. But property tax is one of those things that, we need local municipal infrastructure. Bethel is a very small town. We have less than 2,000 residents, but we do have roads, and we do have things like schools, and that's not part of my purview. That's part of the school budget, so I don't have to worry about that. But I do have to worry about roads, and there's a lot that goes into roads. And then I think that there's, when it comes to services, that's a tough one for me. A lot of people expect that it is the town's responsibility, or it's the state's responsibility, or it's the federal government's responsibility to provide all these services. And that's just not where I stand on things. I think that it is our own responsibility to provide those things for our neighbors. So what it comes down to me is I do believe that charity and endowments and things like that is how you pay for those type of services. Recreation's a tough one. We do have a capital fund for the recreation department, and we put money towards that year to year, but we do look for a plan for what that money will be spent on. So I don't want to get too into the weeds about decision making on that, because obviously I have other board members here, but to us it is important that we see that how money will be spent, rather than just putting money aside for things.
I just want to correct, you said we put money, capital improvement for recreation every year. That is false, because the last 2 years you have not put money in there to do our improvement fund. So just wanted to correct that statement.
I wasn't here last year. I don't quite remember what we did. Yes, this year we did take that line item out, and I remember the budget is work of both the town offices and then approved by the select board after debate. But part of that was we asked to see a plan for how the money would be used by adding to that capital fund, and that plan doesn't exist right now. So that's why there is a reserve fund there, I believe $70,000, $80,000. So before we add more money to that fund, we want to see a plan at what we expect that money to be used for.
All right. So Dick has a question, I think next. Want to invite more people. If you have questions, be ready to come up. Quick educational moment, maybe. Dana, I'm going to put you on the spot. Point of process. Our budgets are prepared by Select Board and School Board each year. You get a lovely copy either in the mail or a digital version, or you can go pick one up. You show up to a floor meeting to vote on the budgets, and I'm so glad that most people here do attend town meeting and do attend school meeting. And if you do not like what's in the budget, you have the opportunity in the floor meeting to propose something different. Dana, I wonder if you could just speak very quickly to that. If people here don't actually like what's in the recreation budget or the school budget, what can they do about it at the meeting?
Certainly the budget, I think, is the second or third article in this year's warning. And when it's moved and seconded, there'll be a discussion. And at that point, you can raise an issue. Having studied the budget, hopefully you'll come in with a specific question about why is the money being spent for this, that, or another item. And Therese, I believe, is going to be recognized. Hopefully everyone will agree that she's allowed to speak, even though she's not a resident of the community. But she'll be presenting the budget, and she'll be able to answer some of the specific questions about line items. And then if there is a motion to add to or subtract from a line item in the budget, that'll be submitted to the vote, submitted to the floor for a vote. And if it's up or down, then we'll move forward.
Wonderful, thank you. One of the most unique things about our local democratic process here in Vermont, that you as a community member can simply show up, you can make a proposal to do it differently if you disagree on the floor.
I realize this is not the place to ask and answer this question, but the line items can be addressed individually by the floor at town meeting. At the school district meeting, you vote the budget up or down. You can amend the amount, but you can't do it by line items.
Thanks for bearing with the cord. Dick, floor is yours.
Dick McCormick, long time Bethel resident. I have a question for the candidates for Select Board and for town clerk. I think this Select Board to be on the Select Board is automatically to be on the Board of Civil Authority. And of course, the town clerk really runs the Board of Civil Authority. Under the U.S. Constitution, there actually is no such thing as a national election. The president is elected by the Electoral College, which is elected by 50 separate state elections. And in Vermont, as in every other state, the elections are run by the local Board of Elections, which in this case is the Board of Civil Authority. I would like to hear your thoughts on how the Board of Civil Authority protects the integrity of the voter rolls, and if they do have any thoughts on what to do if there is an attempt to interfere with the work of the Board of Civil Authority.
I may have misspoke, Dick, about the national election. I apologize. It's the general election that happens every 2 years. The Board of Civil Authority is made up of the 5 select board members and the 7 justices apiece. So there's 12. And I do run the meetings, if there is any, as far as Board of Abatement, Board of Tax Appeal, and or elections. In the 8 years that I have been town clerk, the Board of Civil Authority that I have had has been amazing. We maintain the checklist, a check-in list, a check-out list. We, at the end of the evening, the ballot boxes are sealed. We make sure that the check-in list and the check-out list match. So we make sure that the numbers checked in match the numbers checked out. And if not, we sit there and we will go through them until we figure out, okay, oh yes, I remember seeing this person check in, but they may have just deposited their ballot and just not checked out. So there's that part of it. We hand count most ballots, especially town meeting. We will hand count. There is a tabulator that is used. Some towns use them for town meeting. I use them for obviously the August primary, and we'll use them in November for the general election, because hand counting those will be here till 1 o'clock in the morning, at least. The tabulator, a lot of people have issues with it. A lot of people feel that, it can be messed with. It can't. It is in my vault until the morning I take it and put it in the base at election. There is keys, there is a card part that goes in, but there is a lock on it. I submit that lock and it is written down that that number is what is on that lock when I put that in and get it formulated. That's it. I take it out of the vault, take it to the election. When it is done, we print our reports off it, we empty the bins, we count all the ballots, we count the ballots. We literally physically have to hand count the ballots to make sure that the number of ballots in there is matching the paper. There is so much to this that it is statute driven, and we follow those down through. And I have a bag that we have at the end of it, and it is there, and 2 people sign it, the stuff goes in it. We seal it with that number that's on there. It is locked up. 2 of us, actually probably 4 people take it back to the vault, to the office, because they don't let me do that by myself down through, which is perfectly fine. But we put it right into the vault. It's done. We take the top, the tabulator piece, that is put back in its bag, that is put in the vault. Those 2 things are in the vault. Everything is locked up at that point in time and signed off on by me and 1 other person. So I think Dick, is that answering your question?
What's the second part? Having thoughts of what to do if there's interfere as they have recently?
Yeah, I'm hoping like nothing happens like in Georgia. There's a chance to interfere with elections and stuff of that sort. I'm knocking on wood that never happens in Vermont. I know it has not happened in any town. Us clerks, we get together twice a year and we go over elections. Like this past year we were together, we started already talking about general elections. We talk a year and a half advance about what to do. And I know this one coming up, this coming September, is going to be starting for 2 years for the big one. So, we are not trained. We have gone through the scenarios of what happens if somebody comes in with a gun. We have gone through if somebody comes in and starts ranting and raving and stuff of that sort and whatever. And I have trained the Board of Civil Authority on those tasks as well. We go through everything. The piece, I just pray to God that it doesn't happen. But we're mostly ready down through, I believe. That, we have capable people that will take care of it. And I do have 911 on speed dial on my cell phone, so it's...
Pam, I'm not sure if Dick was, this was part of your question or would have been an ancillary, would be updating and maintaining your voter rolls, just explaining people how you do that.
So I maintain the voter checklist, which comes from the state of Vermont. We keep it on the Vermont election system, which is through Secretary of State's office. if somebody goes to the DMV and I think it's either they check the box that they want to be registered to vote, it'll automatically send it to that town. If they don't check it, sometimes it still comes down through like that piece of it down part. The other piece of it is, we know our mail system and addresses, Gilead Brook Road, out towards Barnard, they're Route 12 down through Route 107. They got Randolph mailing addresses, but they're Bethel residents, so it kind of goes back and forth. So if it has a Randolph mailing address and Randolph whatever, it gets sent to Randolph, but they're like, oh no, Gilead Brook Road is Bethel, so it gets sent to me. There are all kinds of stops. And people moving into Bethel, you have so many ways. I mean, anybody, any town, you can register to vote either in person with your town clerk, through the DMV, which is down through like that or whatever. You can go on to the Secretary of State's website, to my voter page. You can register online. There's so many ways you can do this. And you can even register at the polls. If you register at the polls, we do ask that you bring an ID and a piece of mail that shows that you actually are physically at the address that you say you're living at. That way, when I go in, and now that I have a laptop, which is the best thing I've done yet, that I can go into the system and say, oh, you used to live in so-and-so. She's like, yes, I did. I just moved here. I can transfer that voter from there to here, right like that. Before, we couldn't do that. And sometimes some people would, and it had been said, vote in one town, say, oh, I live now, and they went to another town and they voted, saying I live here. And and so it got a little confusing. And so, but I try to do the best that I possibly can. And I can Google search just about anybody. So, and I have.
I just want to add that I did participate in the last election, counting the votes, and I can attest that we are checking people in, checking people out. We are signing off on the number of ballots, and we hand counted for the supervisory union vote. I haven't used the tabulator yet, but I can't remember a time where Pam was left alone with the votes. Not that I don't trust you, Pam, but it does require a team for accountability. So there's that. But Dick, I am curious, just as a follow-up, you mentioned irregularities or interference in Georgia. Are you referring to speculation over the election itself, or what's happening now with the raids and things like that?
I'm not sure. You certainly didn't speculate on the law. In Georgia, they actually took them out.
Gotcha. Okay.
They did.
Now they're secure, no longer secure.
Okay. So, yeah. All right. So Dick was mentioning what's happening in Georgia. So I think specifically what you're talking about is the federal government came in and took the votes from the county in Georgia. What do we do? Are we going to hold the feds at gunpoint and say you can't have our votes? I don't think that's going to happen. So, right. So I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer, but I also don't think our 1,900 votes are going to sway a national election. I'd be curious what your thoughts are on what you would expect us to do.
I would expect you to hold on to the balance.
Okay.
Maintain their
Okay, Dick just said I would expect you to hold on to the ballots. Okay.
Do it to the best of our ability.
All right, who else has a question? Don't all jump at once. Mary Ellen, great.
I'm Mary Ellen. I live on Pleasant Street with Seth Stoddard. Everyone look that way. I also write for the Herald. And my question is for Ben and for anyone running for select board who's not here to answer it, I guess. So what are the priority issues in your mind that Bethel faces? What are the priorities?
That's a tough one. I personally don't have an agenda. That's what I ran on to get appointed. Was I don't see much that I want to change. I like as I mentioned, I think one of the special things about Bethel is that we've already got a good thing going. We do well with our money. So why fix what's not broke? That if I could be honest, I think Teresa's doing a really great job, and I would like to support what her goals are, which are to repair the town garage. I think that's one of maybe the big things, or pave North Road or pave Camp Brook Road. I think those are probably the top three things I can come up with off the top of my head. Otherwise, I honestly trust Therese to do her job, and I really see my job as using discernment with the other board members to make sure that she's not going off the rails. So I actually have a pretty easy job as part of this, but hopefully those three things make sense to you in terms of what priorities should be.
Yes, I was going to see if any of the rest of you want to.
Yeah. One of my biggest concerns is the pool. I think that maintaining the town pool is a top priority. It is so important for our children to have a place to learn to swim so that they can swim safely. I know that 4 out of my 5 grandchildren have taken lessons at the pool and would continue to take lessons this summer. I go to the pool a whole lot, especially now with summer getting so hot. Silver Lake has become off limits for the past 2 summers. This past year, it was in the middle of July, it was already condemned. The river is not a safe place for children. And actually the river got pretty gross too. I go to the river a lot too. And before the end of July, the river was already a mess. I know that there have been issues about staffing the pool, but I know that they are offering lifeguarding lessons at the Aquatic Center in Hartford. And I know that I've talked with teenagers that have been very interested in it, but I haven't seen any advertising out there saying we're looking for people. I know Deidre doesn't want to be managing the pool anymore, and that's a problem. But I don't know where the word has been spread that we are looking for somebody to manage the pool. I think that there might be people here in town that would be willing to. I just hate seeing us give up something that is such a valuable resource and a life-saving resource.
So I will mention that I know Deirdre has met with one person this week, had a good 2-hour session with them about them possibly managing the pool and stuff of that sort. So, I mean, that part. But as far as the advertising piece, we can only get the information out that we know. So if we don't know that the Aquatic Center is actually offering these courses. Okay. So if I don't, okay, however, it's yeah. But I mean, if we knew that part, we could put that out there. I mean, that's not, a not thing. We could do that piece of it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay.
Okay. Desiree, I'll get to you in 1 second. I want to see whether Dana or Pam want to respond to Mary Ellen's question at all of the top issues you see facing Bethel. And if not, you can certainly pass.
So top issues in Bethel, let's see. Town garage. That place is falling over. It is not safe. The town garage is an absolute necessity. I will say my office, because it was the old creamery building, and one side of it is like 5 degrees colder than the other side, and you would not know that piece. And just the fact that we've outgrown it. We've outgrown it. And parking stinks. That's the mild word I will use for it. And we all know that. But yeah, and just facilities piece. I mean, upgrading what we can do. Yeah.
I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to promote the work of the Planning Commission. We are in the process of interviewing Bethel residents about their concerns about the town, their hopes for the future. And if anybody who has not already been contacted would like to be interviewed, it takes about a half hour to 45 minutes. I'm working with Daisy Andrews, a recent graduate of the law school. She's been working with the DRB and the Planning Commission for the last 2 years. She's primarily conducting the interviews, and we're getting in-depth responses and some great feedback for the town plan that's being rewritten and will be presented to the town in 2027. But this is the data that we're gathering. So get a hold of me, and I will set up a time that we can spend with you on a Tuesday and after the bar exam in the end of the month, any day in March. But we're looking for people to come in and share their ideas, and that's going to help us shape some of the priorities that the Planning Commission is going to be recommending to the town.
I just want to add one thing, which is the select board isn't sitting around scheming up ideas of what to do with the town. That's if it was, I wouldn't have tried running, because I'm not a busybody. But what I am offering is my discernment, and so. To Dana's point, the Planning Commission, I'm not suggesting you guys are busybodies, but that's what they do. They're thinking about the future of Bethel. That's the place to provide that input. They're bringing those plans to us and those appointments, and Teresa's putting them into action. And we're saying, and then the select board members are really saying, yeah, this is a good idea, or take it back and think about this piece and noodle on that, or it's going to cost too much, or, oh, well, perfect, we have the money, or this is how we're going to raise the money. We are, like I said, I don't have an agenda, because I don't claim to have everyone's interest in mind in terms of, oh, let's open a water park. Not everybody wants a water park. I do understand a lot of people care about the pool. And we have been talking about that in a lot of meetings recently. And Teresa said, and again, I put this on Teresa, she'll open the pool in earnest if we can afford to do the refurbishment that's required and find the staffing. It'll open as it always does in the spring. So that's the direction we're headed, and time will tell whether we have that staff and are able to clean it up and get it ready to open.
Okay, that's all right. Pass over. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Desiree McCrory. The question I have, and I'm not sure how towns work. I don't go to meetings or anything. But when you talk about, what decisions have to be made and whatever, everyone I know has their own interests and own concerns. And then I assume the town representatives have to take into account what they think the budget can support, what are long-term investments that are worthwhile, what are short-term investments. How do you determine what to do? Because do you take votes? Do you take write-ins? Do you just listen and talk to people? Is there, a long-term plan of how you run a small town and things that should be done on a regular basis, whether people like it or not? How does that work?
I'll start because as a member of the Planning Commission, we are trying to craft a future plan for the town based on where we, collectively think we are and how we'd like to move forward. And that's why we're gathering the input from individuals as we draft the plan and then present it to the select board, and the town eventually approves the plan through the board. So the priorities we're gathering are are based on the input that we're getting from individual citizens, shaped by our own views of having been here and what we'd like to see moving forward. But that's a document that will be presented to the town and can be approved. The select board doesn't necessarily act on everything, doesn't use our recommendations as a town plan for its work projects, but it hopefully will consider them and move forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you went first. It's exactly right. The long-term sort of vision for the town comes from the Planning Commission. And again, I want to say Teresa's doing an excellent job. She is our town manager. She knows what needs to be done in town. So the reason I know the town garage needs to be fixed, the reason I know the North Road and Camp Road, well, first of all, I've driven on both those roads and they suck. But the reason I know about the town garage, I've never been up there, but Teresa's been pretty militant about this thing's falling apart. And she shared pictures with us, and we've heard from the road crew and everything. So she's got her finger on the pulse of what needs to be taken care of. And she's also the one that builds that budget and shops it around with us. And, we deliberate, but Teresa's ultimately the one that puts it together. So a lot of what you see in terms of prioritization and how it's going to get done and what the long-term plan is a balance between the Planning Commission and what Teresa knows needs to be done. And she's there at our select board meetings, and we debate things till we're blue in the face. But at the end of the day, we do have to make a decision, and that's when we take a vote on the select board to approve the use of funds or what our next priority is going to be. Hopefully that answers your question.
Anyone want to add on that? No? Okay, I think we have time for one more question or two if we have a burning one. Okay, Rebby will be our final question. Karen?
I have a question for you on the select board.
Hi, Karen. Introduce yourself.
I'm Karen Bixler from East Bethel. There's a culture in Vermont of towns passing resolutions that are bigger in scope than what's happening on the day-to-day in town. And those things get warranted by a certain number of signatures being gathered to put them on. The town of Bethel has in the past refused to put those on because they said if we can't change it, we don't vote on it. And I want to know how you would feel about that stance.
That's a great question. I've thought about that a lot myself because sometimes it's really inspiring to make those big statements, even if we can't change it, to still say we don't agree with something at a national level. We don't agree with it here. So I'm not opposed to it. I think it can be a little bit. I wonder. It's inspiring, but at the same time, are we putting a target on our back? Is it a mature thing to do? I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. There's been times, even in the last year, where I've been on the select board, where I see things happening beyond Bethel, beyond Vermont, where I've thought about that, putting forth a resolution that says we don't agree with this. But I'd rather see that be a grassroots thing than me. Like I said, I'm not a busybody. I don't think I should impose that on the town, my idea of what a resolution should be. But I wouldn't be opposed to looking at something like that. I don't. You've mentioned that it hasn't been accepted in Bethel before, but the board has changed over the last few years. So I'd be interested to see what some of those resolutions might be.
Okay, Rebby, final question.
Don't want to make anyone stay too late. My name's Rebecca Carlton. I live on the other side of Bethel, and I've been here for more than 40 years. Pam, I have a question. I need a little education about something. which is I've heard so much about our elections not being totally secure. And you mentioned the thing that people can vote in more than one town. So I'm just, does that happen very often? Is it a big significant issue?
I think now most towns have computers that they take to elections, and we are on the VEM system, the Vermont Election Management System, that if somebody comes in and says, I moved in, stuff like that, or whatever, you can do that piece of it. Before, I think it was just like small things, towns that don't have that, or internet access. I mean, I'm very lucky that the school gives me their Wi-Fi. And it's not just the basic, I can get the Wi-Fi piece, which is what I need for my piece. So I heard it way back when I started, 2018. Somebody says, oh, by the way, this can happen. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, they're going down the road. It's just a part of like, okay, here's my mail, here's my thing. So, but now, I think now most schools, or most towns, wherever they have their elections, have access to that. It has never happened here. Let's put it that way. It's maybe, I think it may have happened, if I remember back 8 years ago, holy cow, I can't remember yesterday. I think somebody said it happened like maybe 4 or 5 times. So it's very minuscule, and it has not happened, I know it has not happened in the last 4 years. Because we talk about this at our meetings every time. Elections is a good 3-hour discussion every time we get together. No problem.
Great. Thank you all. This has been amazing. We're going to wrap up the formal part in just a minute. Yes, let's give our candidates a huge round of applause. Thank you for being here, for spending this Sunday afternoon. I know there's nothing else going on today, right? So, where do we have to be? But this is really rare and unique, and I hope we all appreciate that here in Vermont we have this kind of access to our candidates and to making change in our communities. And to all of you personally, thank you for spending these 2 hours.
And thank you, Rebecca and Lisa and the rest of your committee for organizing it. It's been great.
I want to throw one last unexpected question at these candidates, and I'm going to tell them so they have a minute to think while I do a few wrap-ups. I'm going to ask them to go down the line and very quickly just fill in the blank, I wish voters knew, before they vote. And if you want to pass on that question and share any other final words, something you didn't get to say, that's fine too, okay? We are officially here for another half hour. If you want to stay and visit and talk to each other and socialize and eat more pizza, please do that. I think there is still some delicious pizza here for Cockadoodle. I want to finish with a couple other last reminders and requests to all of you. Come out to school meeting, come out to town meeting, come out to the polls and vote, and please bring everyone you know. That's the really important part. One of the additions town meeting and community engagement committee has made over the last year is actually the last couple of years, I think, thanks to Cindy, in part, a form so that if you need a ride, if you need help getting there, if you need any kind of information or support being at the meetings or at the polls, you can put in that request over email. If you know anybody who needs a ride or needs to carpool, please make sure they get that form, or just reach out to us, reach out to Pam in the town clerk's office, and we'll try to make sure that's possible. Reminder, school meeting is at Bethel this year, Monday, March 2nd. Thank you. Come for dinner early and then show right back up the next morning. Come and have a great social hour. Bring pie, eat pie, share pie. Come visit all the tables and organizations. And then the meeting starts at 10 and you can vote at the polls right while you are there. Any other important reminders I'm forgetting, folks? Childcare. Thank you, Lily. There's free childcare. During town meeting, yes, and usually during school meeting as well, right, Nancy? Yeah. Dave?
You may get, I don't know if you all know, but you were taken off and are not going to automatically have a town report mailed to you. Correct. You have got a postcard.
Postcard.
If you want one, stop at the town office, pick it up there. Now,
Correct. So we have cut the part of mailing them to all property owners, registered voters, because it was crazy down through. And so what we did was last year and this year we sent postcards to all registered voters. My household got 4 because I have 4 registered voters in my house. So that you can, it is PDF form. It is on the websites. You can come in and pick it up. And if you really want it to mail to you, we will mail it to you. So they are available. We will have them in the office. I believe we're going to have them in the library. And I think one other place, but I'm not exactly sure. They were talking about that this week, and I happened to miss Friday. So it was, yeah.
Are they available now?
They are available now. We got them on Thursday. Yep, we have them in hand.
And one other reminder, you actually heard several of our candidates pitch this idea that if you're so inspired or not impressed, I guess, by what you heard today, you can run as a write-in candidate for these positions. You can also run as a write-in for trustee of public funds. And as of now, you are unopposed. And if you happen to be a Royalton resident or know someone who is, you can run for the Royalton school board seat. As of now, unopposed as a write-in. So if you need information on how to do that, we can also share that or come talk to Pam. Yeah, Desiree.
A description about the position.
Just right now? Or?
No,
Oh.
Is there a place to look that up?
Is there a place to look up the description? In Bethel, we have a special guide put out by the Town Meeting and Community Engagement Committee called the Bethel Operator's Manual. Would have been a great idea if we brought copies, but I don't think we did. We have none left. They're gone. Okay. That's a project. If you're interested in helping to revise that, it is a guide to everything you need to know about living and working and voting and running for office in Bethel. And it is online. So yes, Bethel Operators Manual VT.org or com. It is linked on the town website. So yes, hard copies are gone, but you will find descriptions of the positions there. And you can always contact the town clerk as well. So do consider, and if you know anyone who's interested in running for office, please encourage them to do so as well. Our town would not work without it. So final words from all of you. You can fill in the blank, I wish voters knew, or you can share a different final word if you would like.
My final word would be, I think that our children are our greatest resource, and I think it's really sad how few people come to the annual school meeting. So major decisions, you figure a good chunk of your property tax is based on the schools. And to have decisions made by a few hundred people out of, and I'm talking both Royalton and Bethel, a few hundred people. And
I believe just Carmen and I did this up the other day, and we have just over 4,000 voters.
And yet a few hundred determine what's going to happen with our schools. So please come to our annual meeting. Again, it's March 2nd, 6 o'clock. Come earlier for dinner. Sorry, I can't remember what time dinner is.
I think it's at 5.
Yeah, probably at 5. And please encourage everyone you know to come, because it would be really good for them to understand, you know, why is the budget what it is. And I'll give you a little clue right now. Our share of the budget went up from last year's budget by only 1.63%, so less than inflation. What we don't have control over is what the state does. And so it's really worth your while to come and learn all about the budget before you vote. To me, it's nothing worse than having uninformed voters making these decisions.
I will second that one, both through town and through school. There are so many ways to get the information. I just wish voters would step up and try and find that information, look for it and stuff of that sort, and be educated before they go to the meetings and or the polls, and especially about, you know, us up here. Yeah.
hate to sound like a broken record, but civic engagement, and I don't have to tell that to anybody here because you're already doing it, but if we could spread that message, yes, 300 people is not an accurate representation of the 4,000 voters. There's so much more you can do through action by serving on a commission or getting involved just even personally. You know, you don't, Danny's a great example of this, going out and holding signs on the triangle, right? That no one's telling him whether to do that or not, or no one's telling him not to. So, you know, that's almost more important than voting, in my opinion. So, I'm repeating what you've already said. But I do want to be clear. I know that I know that maybe people are wondering about my positions. I want everyone to know I keep using the word discernment. I'm always going to cast my vote on my principles rather than popularity. So I don't expect to make friends being on the select board. I'd love to be your friend and I'd love to win people over, but I won't always just cast a vote because I think it'll make me popular, and I think that's important.
I guess the one thing that I wish community members knew is the importance of the modeling behavior. My dad was chairman of my local school board in Nashua when I was growing up, and it had an influence on me. I saw his community engagement, and I have spent the better part of my life being involved one way or the other in public service. And now that I'm retired, I'm able to do it even in many different capacities, whether it's on the town meeting and engagement committee, on the planning commission or the DRB, or down at the law school doing taxes. Modeling the behavior that I hope my kids and grandkids are able to see. Hey, Grandpa was involved, and why was he involved? Well, because you get much more out of what you do from the folks that you engage with, and being involved in the community is just an important thing. Model it, and they'll follow it. Thanks.
Every town committee needs members.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
All right. Well, on that note, final round of applause for all of you for being here and modeling amazing civic engagement on Super Bowl Sunday. Thank you. Thanks again to Bethel Area Rotary, Town of Bethel, and Therese for making this possible today, and Cockadoodle. And go eat more pizza, drink, be merry, and come out and vote in a month.